Question for you. Have you ever been lost? Like in the woods lost, or maybe just life lost? Just me? No, I'm serious. Lost. Like the kind of lost where you thought you knew where you were going, but then realize, oh crap, maybe I don't. Or the kind of lost where you're really far from home and you either can't find the path or you're not even sure which direction you came from. This may surprise you, but as somebody who has spent his time off the beaten path, I get myself in this situation a lot. I feel it really doesn't happen all that often because we have these phones in our pocket that get us out of trouble, right? When we don't know where we are, we just pull it out, look to the map or the guide in our pocket, tap a link, type it in, and then instantly it gives us turn-by-turn directions wherever we are, from anywhere to anywhere on the planet. I mean, what a time to be alive, right? Certainly makes exploration into unknown territory easy, a little less scary, but it also makes the true skill of navigation almost non-existent. Where do I go next? I don't know. What's my phone say? But let me ask you something. What if something were to happen to that phone, that guide in your pocket? What if you were to lose it, drop reception, or drop it in a creek like I did a couple days ago? What if someone were to drop you off in the wild? Would you make it back home? Do you even know where home is? Without that external navigation tool in your pocket, would you be lost? Serious question. See, as a man, and I am embarrassed to admit this, but yeah, I think I would. In fact, I know I would. I'm too reliant on this thing, and dare I say, maybe you are too. What's up, friends? My name is Chris Soy. Most of you watching this video know me, but if you don't know me, just know that adventure and exploration have been a big part of my life since I was old enough to start wandering off in the woods by myself. For most of my life, though, my wandering comes from an innate thirst for adventure and to explore new terrain, to be a part of something bigger than me, and also, I don't know, this weird abrasion I have to not do what everybody else seems to be doing. My life has been anything but traditional, because quite honestly, the concept of home has been a bit foggy for me as I've navigated most of it without a map or a true guide. This, of course, resulting in many years of feeling desperately lost, alone, and without a place like I feel like I belong. For me personally, my story is I grew up in foster care, various children's homes. From 6 to 18, I bounced around from house to house, parent to parent, with a strained in and out relationship with my biological mom, and went into my 30s, have never met my father. So being lost, that's what it felt like for me. Like I was simply dropped off in the wild and had to figure things out as I went along, teaching myself many of the things I only wish a man or a guide could have directed or taught me. Instead, for much of my life, I had to wander and figure it out, often the hard way and with many losses, failures, and defeats of just wandering in circles. While I can be proud of what I've learned and how far I've come, there has always been a longing of my heart since I was a boy for a man to walk alongside me and teach me the things that my wild and adventurous little soul wanted to explore and learn. But it never came. So I had to muster the courage and go out and brave the wilderness myself. It being hard doesn't even begin to describe it. And despite our culture's celebration and glorification of building a self-made man, wearing flannel with a full beard, crafting ourselves with our homemade chisel and hammer, for me it's just sad. Maybe you were like me and you were conditioned to believe the cultural narrative of, sometimes life is just hard, Chris, and you gotta pick yourself up by your bootstraps. Right. I think it was Martin Luther King that said, "It is cruel to say that to a bootless man." Because let us remember, not all of us have boots. And I know I'm not alone in this, friends. I know because for the last several years, I've been in the men's circles, listening, trying to learn from other men and recover from lost time. You get a group of men together to feel safe enough to talk about their fathers, you're going to hear this exact same thing. There is a yearning of the heart to be taught. Like millions and millions of men today, I'm making up for lost time for my own wandering in the wilderness and trying to guide myself through this crazy wilderness of our ever-changing world. And I'm trying not to do that lone wolf thing that I like to do, that we like to do as men. Life is hard enough, but much harder without a map, a compass even, or a true guide. This isn't just my story. What I'm getting at is fatherlessness. For those of you who love data, I encourage you to go look at the numbers. Look at the numbers of fatherlessness and the effects of our world today, because it's on the rise. It is an all-time high, right along with depression, suicide, domestic violence, incarceration, homelessness, poverty, teen pregnancy, dropout rates, drug and alcohol abuse. You may say, well, Chris, that can't all be due to fatherlessness. You sure? You ask a single mom you know trying to raise young boys to harness their sons' inner wild and rear them to become the men that their fathers never were. Ask them. Because the truth is, as boys, we simply can't be what we can't see. What are we seeing? You tell me. It isn't a surprise that a boy has a lot to learn on his journey to become a man. I believe to know and navigate life well, a boy must have a guide. A man to walk with him through the many things a boy will encounter on his path to become a man and keep him on course. The only way this is done is through the active participation of a father and a community of other men. There is no other way. But where are the men? Right now, we need men. Men to not just teach and talk, but to live out integrity. To teach the importance of honoring your word and your commitments, to be trustworthy and reliable, learn to emotionally regulate. Who else to teach us how to fight for what is right or what battles are even worth fighting for? How about moving through anger? Where do we learn that? In school? Don't even get me started. You thought the COVID pandemic was bad? This is a pandemic far more consequential and impactful than COVID ever was. We just don't talk about it. Why? Because men don't talk about it. In crisis, our nature is to resort back to the basic level of training. Suck it up, hold it in, stop crying. This is not an invisible disease we're encouraged to cover our face. This is a clearly visible disease, and it is in our face. It is asking us to look up, to look out, to stand up and to do something about it. It is the blind leading the blind, or the wandering guiding the wandering. You're tired of talking about masks? Too bad. Next on the docket is masculinity. Boys masquerading as men. Now more than ever, we are seeing boys and men today that do not have fathers to guide them through the masculine journey. Because masculinity is not something you simply fall into or grow into. It is something that is bestowed. It is earned. It is forged. Now is the time for change. Change the cultural narrative. Personally, I no longer want to be a people group that insists and demand that we deserve to live in a better world and then do nothing about it other than bitch online. Excuse my language. At the very least, I can share what I've learned on my path thus far and point to those who come behind me. If there is one thing that I feel pretty sure of in this world, is that all of us are meant to do something with our lives. The biggest two moments in a man's life is when he's born and when he asks why that is. I believe that in each one of us is a soul that has a specific purpose for being here. And I think much of the experience in this life is figuring out what that is and where to go looking. The journey for each one of us is uniquely different. That's why more than ever we need guides to teach us how to hold and to read our maps and learn how to navigate our internal landscape and how to be guided by our internal GPS system. Gotta love metaphors. That is why I decided to start Men's Alaska Project. The dream of Men's Alaska Project. My dream is to build a 100% fully off-grid men's summer camp and retreat center in wild and untamed Alaska. Here, the intention will be to create a safe and inspiring place for boys, young men, and even grown men to come, explore, and navigate the innate wild that lives in and around them in one of the wildest places I've ever discovered on any of my adventures. This project is what I believe that I am called to do. I believe in this mission, and I believe that my unique background, growing up in foster care, my insatiable thirst for adventure, married with my degree in education and 10-year career in both outdoor wilderness guiding and a designer and builder, puts this dream at the exact intersection of my greatest loves, passions, and skill sets. Now, just in case you haven't picked up on it yet, MAP is more than just teaching men how to read topographical maps or how to fly fish. In fact, this project is so much more than that. Yes, it will be a very curated, one-of-a-kind, wild experience in nature that will introduce modern men and boys to experience what they did not have growing up. But more, it's about giving boys and men the opportunity to learn the things that we were never taught growing up. Yes, of course, I'm referring to the many things you might expect an Alaskan summer camp to entail. Fly fishing, survival skills, chopping down trees, starting fires from sticks, games in the woods, making things with our bare hands with homemade tools. And because it's 100% off-grid, students will also learn how to use and harness the natural energy that is around them in creative and useful ways. You know, man stuff. But if that is all that we taught, it would not be enough. In fact, I would consider that a failure and quite honestly, a waste of time. MAP is an immersive, wild experience, exposing boys and men to real life skills training through play and adventure. Teaching men how to hear and listen to our internal GPS and how to navigate the internal wild and how to adventure within. The vision of MAP is to be a place of learning, of growth, of respite, and of healing. A place of retreat and deep and wild exploration where boys and men and eventually others can come to discover their own wildness, to get out in nature, to be present with nature and listen and practice the disciplines we are losing as a collective culture. But also, it's a place of initiation, a place to experience the lost art of rites of passage every boy and man need experience. In case you don't know, this project will take place on an island in Alaska. Now, the island will be a summer camp, yes, but I hope it to also be a creative and safe space for all of its many guests. For people that just need to get away, or for creative types needing a place to write or record. For couples wanting to experience what it's like to truly live off-grid, or for families just wanting to create unforgettable experiences with their families. Maybe it's a hunter's cabin for the guys, or just a simple winter wonderland for those who dare brave the Alaskan cold to see the northern lights. Like many of my creative endeavors, the space will be multi-use and multi-purpose. The opportunities to monetize and provide a one-of-a-kind experience will be plentiful, but will take time and resources. The careful and deliberate execution of my designs and plans will produce the resources to bring in the revenue to help sponsor boys to the island. This in turn will create the sustainable model that will yield the fruit from seeds that we are planting right now. And that is why I'm making this video. I want to invite you to join me in the planting. Okay, so here is where we are with the project. The first phase has already been completed. I have already purchased the land in full with my own life savings. It took me 8 years. Despite my own ideas for how I thought my future was going to play out, the pandemic in 2020 completely changed all that. Like many of you, I'm sure life had a funny way of completely ruining or perhaps bettering my plans. Now fast forward to last summer, 2021. My brother Chad and I and a few other crazies I convinced to follow me down this unknown path, we spent our summer and all that was left of my life savings building our viable product, getting this wild idea off the ground. We spent the summer chopping trees, getting our hands in the earth, clearing the land, and getting clear on exactly what we were to build. We've purchased tools, equipment, a boat to get materials to and from the island, and even spent 90 days building a fully operational solar-powered cabin and tool shed for the hub of the next phase. Right now, with summer quickly approaching, we have more to build, and I am humbly aware of how much I truly need help. Friends, we need funding, we need partners, and we need hands in order to make this dream possible. Now, I'm personally as invested in this mission as much as I possibly can, and even began selling off all I own to go hard after this next venture. It is what I believe I'm being called to do, and as scary as it is, I just can't run from it anymore. While I know that my experience and skills make this a perfect next climb and adventure for me, the one thing that I know is that I can't and I'm not supposed to build this dream alone. And that, my friends, is where you come in. So there are a few ways that you can get involved. The first is funding. Friends, we need money. Or better said, I need partners. Now, we have some big needs right now. The biggest is the seed capital for the supplies and materials for the initial structures that will house and feed our core team, our students, and our guests. There's also a need for specialty tools like a sawmill that will allow us to harvest the existing lumber that's on the island so we can better spend our money on other resources other than lumber. Another big need we have right now is transportation. Now, we have a temporary beater vehicle, an old Ford Explorer with like 200,000 miles and no power steering. And don't get me wrong, it's been great, but what we really need is a reliable van to transport materials to the property and guests to and from the airport. Now, that's just the big stuff. We also need to buy and build things like a materials raft for carting big stuff over to the island, a covered outdoor kitchen, off-grid appliances, a yurt for things like ceremonies and storage. These things will take quite a bit of time and money. Money I just don't have. I am completely tapped, but I'm not gonna give up. In the description on the GoFundMe or down below, you can see more in depth of what we need and how you can contribute. Please follow the links and give what you feel called. Any amount really does matter and goes towards something deeply impactful. Even $5 gives us gas for a few boat rides that will get materials to the island, while a few hundred provides us the tools or maybe even the solar setup that we will use to power our cabins. Another way to give is through a monthly commitment, through the summer. While a lump sum is great towards providing supplies and materials for us, a monthly commitment allows us to rest easy and plan better knowing that our daily and monthly needs are taken care of. Because my personal needs and bills are taken care of through the end of the year, 100% of these proceeds will go to this project. Now, if there's something in this list below that you have or maybe would like to donate or contribute, please reach out to me directly. Let's talk. Our other need is hands. From June to September, our plans are to build. Not pay to have it built, but build it ourselves. Once we have the bunkhouses and the basic facilities needed for the small core team, then we can begin the structures for more volunteers and planning for future guests. You can support us greatly by coming out and joining us. Be a contributing volunteer and learn to build and fly fish with me. Seriously, come get your hands dirty. Come get in on the action. I want to give you the opportunity to be a part of this first, to experience how powerful and transformational the Wild Alaska can be. Right now, like I said, we have some things that we have to build first to secure and house you, and we'll have more to come on what that looks like once we get started. There are so many needs right now, so much to build, and like I said, this cannot be done alone. If you build or have any experience at all, please consider coming out. It's going to be a lot of fun. Lastly, if you're not able to give at this time, that is completely okay. You can support us tremendously by sharing this video with your friends and family to get this project out there. We need all the help that we can get right now, and the wider that we can cast our net, the more fish or men we can catch. Here is the best part. If we can raise the money that we need this summer, this will allow us to simultaneously build the camp and give our guests and volunteers the true map experience that we will be known for. To embody and live out in real time the mission and vision as early as this summer. This allows and equips me with the tools and the security to bring in my team, to teach you how to build and source from nature, but also have some fun. To hike the trails of Mount Denali that's down the road, to fish for the local rainbow trout, to gather local edibles, to explore and adventure in the wild. And for those of you who dare to go deep into the internal wild within and explore through nature's curriculum and metaphor what being a man and human means again, without our phones. Please consider your gift and or your time mission ammunition that will help fight for a better world that we are all desperate for. Listen, I didn't choose Alaska, and I would not have signed up for something this hard. Okay, maybe I would, but that's not the point. I'm learning that we are meant to do hard things, especially because we have a guide that has gone before us. I leave you with this. They say that no man is an island, but they never said that we can't meet on one. Seriously, thank you. I feel so honored you stuck around to hear my heart. Thank you for supporting me in this mission. Thank you for watching. Thank you for giving. Your time and your money is energy. Blessings. Trust away.